Right. Have you ever looked at someone's project or someone's artwork digitally or even artistically, however, and thought like, wow, that's really cool text or a font, or really, how do they do that? That's really cool and creative. Well, today I'm going to kind of introduce you to the world and idea of typography. I'm going to show you how I kind of use type and typography in Photoshop and manipulate it to kind of create the artistic looks that I want and what I'm seeking. But if you don't know, typography is just the art of arrangement in the style of fonts and text used and placed together within an image to convey a message. That message could be clear as day or it could be subliminal, but just a way of arranging items together to a visual aesthetic to kind of appear to an audience. If you're new to the channel, my name is James. I'm a graphic design and photography teacher for the last 6 years. I'm showing you all things that I know in the creative space at a beginner level and a beginner pace, so that you can get started on your creative journey as well. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe down below to help my channel grow. Leave me a comment if you have any questions or if there's anything that you want to know more of how to do inside Photoshop itself. Otherwise, let's jump on in and let's get started. All right, so I'm already in Photoshop here, just on a default canvas size. You don't need anything specific or fancy right now, but basically to get started, you need to know the type tool and the text tool. So on my toolbar, that's just the capital T right here. And I'm just gonna click and drag something out just to get started here. I'm just gonna use my last name. Of course, the font is gonna be white. So I'm just gonna have my last name there, and then I guess I should get started. So I always like to manipulate text. When I have my text tool selected, up top here, I can choose different fonts and kind of the minimal features of the type tool I can adjust right here in this kind of top section. But I want to have you open up, if you haven't already, go to Window and make sure that this character panel is open. And that opens up this all these metrics right here for your text layers. So on that text layer, if I highlight my text here, I can stretch the letters vertically, make them taller as you're seeing there. I can make them wider. I can adjust the spacing between the specific letters. If I had multiple lines of text with this double A up and down, I could adjust the spacing between the lines there. I can choose my fonts here as well. For this, I like to have like a kind of a bolder or like a thicker font. I'll just do this, bada boom. And if you don't like all the fonts in Photoshop, it comes with a lot of preloaded. You could go to a website called dafont.com. I'm not affiliated in any way, it's just what I use, but dafont, I put it here, dafont.com, and you can look up just about any type of font style that you want, download it, use it for your projects as well. So, but to get started then, within that character panel, it's kind of your basic, just simple adjustments right there. I don't know how wide that is. And that's where a lot of people stop, and that's just fine if that's where you choose to stop. No harm, no foul there, but I like to usually take it a step further and actually like manipulate and adjust and change these text layers. And so what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to convert it out of a text and make sure your spelling's all correct and you're done typing it, because once you convert it to a smart object, you can't change the specific letters anymore within that type, within that type layer. So I'm gonna right click here and go to convert to smart object. And now I'm going to be able to make some pretty significant adjustments to the actual physical characteristics of it here. So we're going to go to Edit, Transform. I'm going to start with Warp. And this one's pretty fun. So you can take this warp and you can totally just, grab these kind of anchor points and stretch it out all sorts of ways. And I'm just doing very, very extreme so you can kind of see how some of that might affect there. You can pinch it in. Okay. I'm going to cancel out of that. But so the warp, you can totally change it there. Otherwise, transform, we can change the scale, you can skew it. You can adjust like the skew, like if you want to tilt or make it more like the Star Wars rolling screen effect, we could do that as well. You can angle it one way or the other. Again, I'm going to cancel out, edit, transform, distort. Again, kind of tilting the angle of it with these anchor points, kind of making it look like it's flat. It's kind of a cool one there. So if you want to look like it's a banner going away from you or something, you could use that one. Edit, transform again, and then perspective, the angle of it as well. the perspective of it. Okay, but that's super simple. But you're probably thinking like, all right, that's really cool and useful, but how can I use this in an actual project? Where would I use something like this? And that's where I have, I'm gonna delete my layer, this track shoe. Okay, if I wanted to fill out a bunch of names or like descriptions of a track shoe, but have it fit inside of that shoe, this is how we would do it. So I'm going to just lower my opacity on the shoe so I can just kind of see the outline of it. And then here, I'm going to add a new type layer. And I'm going to do track for my first word. And I'm going to shrink this down a bit. Okay, so I have track here. And I'm going to change my font color to... So if I wanted to create like kind of those collages of like the words and the shape of something, this is how I do it. So I'm going to take this track word here and say I want to put it kind of on the where your foot goes into the shoe here. So I'm going to confirm that placement. I'm going to convert it to a smart object so I can make that adjustment, edit, transform, and I'm going to use that warp here. And zooming in, I can drag these anchors up and it's going to fill that in for me. And I can shrink that part down. I can stretch this K all the way out to the tongue of the shoe and just kind of work that in there. So now that track is fitting kind of that where your foot goes into the shoe there. Let's do another word. Same thing then. If I want this then to kind of run the tongue of the shoe, I'm going to rotate it. Whoops. Rotate it. And this is kind of an easy one here, but okay, convert it to my smart object. All right, so there's two words. I'm going to kind of do a few here and just, I'm going to speed ramp it though so you can kind of get the idea of it and kind of fast time. So all right, so you kind of get the idea. Very simple. You could fill in a bunch of small words. I've done that before, but for the sake of time, just kind of accelerating it all into one. A couple big words here across the shoe. But then from here, you're like, okay, that's kind of cool, but you know, what do I really do with that? I want to show you how you then can blend all of that text into just, or the shoe into just the text there to kind of create the image you're looking for. And so I grouped all my text together and drug that shoe layer on top of my group of letters, and now I'm going to make that shoe a clipping mask by right clicking and just create clipping mask, and it fills in to all just those letters there. Okay, so you've got the letters and then that clips in and then get kind of that creative cool look there with the type. Okay, so I know it's kind of a quick little synopsis of how to manipulate text and utilize text in Photoshop, but hopefully that helps you get started so that you can start creating your own unique text typography style projects, enhancing the text that you use on your project, whatever that is, whatever you're using for, whether it's social media or just personal or career or job, whatever you're doing in school. Now you know some basics of the type tool, how to manipulate the text itself, make the letters bigger, smaller, stretch them, swell them, adjust the spacing between each letter, and then you can go a step further and actually manipulate the text that you have, place the image inside of the text, or place an image inside of that text there. So hopefully that's helpful. If it did, let me know what stood out the most to you in the comments below. Again, if you're not already, subscribe for more beginner level tutorials, and then also following my journey as I continue to grow as a content creator here, continue to try and grow this channel. But I appreciate you watching to the end, and I'll see you in the next video.